Hey there, Razorback fans. I'm Sydney Lemmerhurt, and I'm thrilled to be your host for today's exclusive interview featuring an outstanding athlete from the Arkansas Gym Backs. Get ready to meet Dakota Essenpries. But before we dive into her stories, let's take a moment to give a shout out to our sponsor, the Everett Auto Group. They are the driving force behind Buick's See Her Greatness campaign, celebrating the achievement and empowerment of female athletes. With locations in Benton, Bryant, and Rogers, the Everett Auto Group is all about supporting women in sports, and we are so thankful to have them on board. Now let's get down to business. As your host for today's interview and former gym back, I'm excited to guide you through the experiences and insights of Dakota. Let's explore the journey of this remarkable athlete as she represents the Razorback spirit on and off the mat. It's time to hear her stories and discover what makes Dakota a true champion on and off the mat. So without further ado, hi, welcome.
Hi.
Can you start off by telling me a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and how you got into gymnastics?
Yes, I'm Dakota. I'm from Missouri. I'm from south of Kansas City, a super small town. The club I went to, my parents actually owned, so I've kind of just been in the gym my whole life. But I started competing when I think I was like 4.
Yeah.
Because I think that was the youngest we
Could be. Yep.
And so I've been competing since I was 4, but I've been in the gym my whole life.
Yeah, literally your whole life. So did you ever not want to do gymnastics? Because it was just like, not like forced upon you, but it was just a part of your family. Was there ever a moment?
I feel like there were times when I kind of like doubted it. I was like, is this really what I want to do? But there was never a time where I like really like wanted to be done, because every time I'd be like, is this what I want to do? Like, and then I would think about quitting, and I'd be like, no, like
I want to keep doing it. Yeah. Same thing here. So can you share why you chose to come to Arkansas? Obviously you're kind of closer than some other girls, but why Arkansas?
Yeah, when I was like in the recruiting process, I was wanting to stay close to home, so I was looking at schools closer to my house, and for me it's only like a 2.5 hour drive here.
Oh, that's not bad.
So it's one of the closer schools, and so I wanted to go somewhere close. I obviously wanted to go somewhere like in the SEC. I thought that'd be cool.
Yeah.
But I was talking to a couple different schools, and whenever I visited here, I loved Fayetteville. I loved it. Felt like home. Loved the coaches. Team felt like family. Just loved the atmosphere here.
I think you're the first one to say that you wanted to stay close to home. Like a lot of girls I'm that way, where I was like, I thought I'd want to stay close to home, and then I ended up going to a school that was 12 hours away, but I love it.
Yeah, when I first started the recruiting process, I wasn't sure what I wanted, so I talked to schools close and far, and then once I started exploring, I was like, I think I want to.
Yeah, I remember going on a trip to one of the Utah schools, and I thought I'd want to go there, and then I showed up and was like, this is too far. Like, I want to be closer to home. Can you share a moment, which yours is going to be kind of interesting since you grew up in the gym, but can you share a moment in your youth career where you realized, like, hey, I'm really good, I want to go to college, like, I want to keep doing this with my life?
Yeah, I kind of, like, there was a time, so I went to college camps a lot growing up, and there was a point where I was too young to be, like, talked to by coaches, obviously, but I was old enough that I, like,
kind of understood it. Yeah.
And I remember I went to a camp, and the coaches told my parents, like, hey, like, she's too young, but when she's old enough, like, we'll have our eye on her, so just keep us in mind. I think when they told me that, I was like, okay, this, like, is real, like, this could happen.
Yeah.
And I think at that point, it was kind of when it clicked, like, that's what I wanted.
Yeah.
And up until then, it was kind of like I was just doing it because I liked it.
Yeah, because you liked it.
At that point, I was like, okay, this could actually happen.
Yeah, and it's crazy the process that gymnastics, and it's changed, recruiting has changed, but to like go through that when you're like 12, 13 years old and kind of have to figure out your life when you're that little, but you figure out quickly if you're really dedicated to the sport or not. It tells you if you are. So kind of mentioned it a little bit, but you were once a young club girl looking up to the older girls, looking up to the college girls, and now you're that girl for some of the little kids out there. What do you want them to remember you by and remember you as?
I think a big thing I want those young girls to know is that you can do it, like, no matter who you are, where you're from, what you look like. It doesn't matter, you can do it. Because, like I said, I came from super small town. Like, the club I went to never had any college gyms before me. I was the only level 10. And so, like, I think people kind of doubted it. Like, she goes to a small gym. Like, I don't know if that's possible. Like, So I just want the young girls out there to know that it is possible, no matter where you're from or who you are.
Yeah, I love that. And you're very lucky to have had your parents kind of be your coaches. I came from a small club gym, then moved going into level 10, but I was in the same position. I was the only level 10. I was the youngest though, so I had like jealousy, and I had coaches tell me like, you're not gonna make it because you're from a small club gym. So I'm glad you had a good support system that brought you here. So women's sports has become a very hot topic right now. You guys are hot off coming back from the national championship. Women's basketball just had theirs, and it was a big deal. So with that comes some social media, obviously. So how do you think social media can be used to bring more positivity to your sport?
I think social media has become an amazing platform for us to use our voices to motivate and stand up for what we think should be stood up for.
Yeah.
And it's a big platform for younger girls to see.
Yeah.
And I love that the young girls can see it, and it's very easily accessible.
Yeah.
Which can be sometimes taken badly, but I think it's also good. Social media is good when it's used for the right reasons.
Yeah.
So I love that I have the platform to motivate those younger athletes.
Yeah. And I think, like you said, you have the platform. Being at Arkansas is unique in itself. We're like the only thing the state has, but the gymnastics community is so tight-knit. And then having a head coach in Jordan Weber who does such a good job at social, I think you guys are really set up for success on that term. So you're very lucky because not everyone is. So pivoting to that, Arkansas gymnastics and gymnastics as a sport hasn't always been as hyped as it has been the past couple years. And there's still programs out there that, do a great job. I can think of Denver and even Oklahoma, they're number one and they're not necessarily selling out. So what advice would you have for girls maybe on some teams that are kind of discouraged by the lack of visibility of gymnastics?
I think I would just say keep pushing for it, because when I was younger, I didn't watch female sports. I watched gymnastics a little bit because I was searching for it.
Right.
And just from when I was little to now, it's grown so much and it's so much more visible. And so just keep pushing for it and it'll continue to grow.
Yeah, it's crazy how, like you said, accessible now. I have people texting me like, I'm watching ESPN and I'm watching gymnastics. And it used to be like, what's the code? And I have to pay behind this paywall. So it's nice for me as a fan now, too, to be able, if I'm not there with y'all. So some fun questions coming up. What do you do to stay focused and in the right mindset before a meet? Are you superstitious? Do you have any sort of ritual?
I'm not superstitious. I don't really have a ritual. I just like to listen to music and try to get my head off of it, because if I'm too in my head about it or overthinking it is when I get nervous. So if I'm listening to music or talking to the other girls, just getting my mind away from gymnastics before I go so that I'm not overthinking.
Yeah, so, and kind of on the same topic of, if you're overthinking, what do you tell yourself when maybe your warm-up didn't go as planned, or maybe the girl before you fell and now the pressure's on a little bit? Do you have anything that kind of puts you in the moment and brings you back to where you are?
This is actually something I had to work on a lot this year, because when I came to college gymnastics, it was a lot different from club.
Yeah.
And so throughout this season, I've kind of learned what works for me, and I like to just try to tell myself that I just trust my training and that I know exactly what to do. And when it's time to compete, you don't have to change anything.
Yeah.
You've put in so many hours of hard work, and you know exactly what to do, and your body knows what to do, so just to trust it and not try to change it.
Yeah, gymnastics is a very mental sport. Honestly, it's almost more mental than physical in the collegiate level, because I feel like we get here and it's like, I've done these skills for 10 years plus, and now just putting it with a little bit of pressure can be interesting. So you kind of said you didn't watch female sports growing up, but you did watch gymnastics. So who was your first female athlete you remember looking up to, and why?
It's kind of funny. I remember looking up to Jordan Weaver.
Yep. We're 100% right now on your teammates saying that.
Well, I think originally, fun fact, we have the same birthday.
Oh, wow.
I think that's why I was
that's
a
fair.
little girl. I was like, that's so
cool. That's so cool.
And those little posters that you get of the Olympians holding their medal?
Yeah.
We had one of those up on our wall at the gym by the bathroom.
That's awesome.
And so every time I'd go by the bathroom, I'd look at her and I'd be like, I want to be like her. Like,
that is crazy.
And I loved watching her. And I think I was like 7 or something when she was at the
Yeah.
Olympics. So I don't remember it, but I remember looking up to her.
You guys are making me feel so old because I was 15 at the Olympics that she was at. But I was telling a couple of your teammates, like, I looked up to her too because I trained with her growing up, and just seeing her like full circle moment of like coaching at my alma mater is like the craziest thing still to me. So I love that y'all are being able to be coached by your role model, because I was able to with Courtney McCool here too. So that's a definite really cool experience. Final question, how would you address any haters and advocate for greater recognition for your sport?
I think honestly the best thing to do is just to not like address the haters, but whenever you see it, it's hard to not let it get to you.
Yeah.
So when you do, I try to think just like, say a hater that says we didn't deserve to get that score. Well, okay, they can think that, but they didn't see the hours and hours that we put in.
Right.
And so like I and my team know we deserve it, and
right.
I try to just remind myself that they don't see it all.
Right.
And
right.
So what they say, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, it's crazy the amount of scrutiny that gymnastics is under. It's hard not to see the hate, but I think you guys do a great job at not really saying anything or doing anything, which y'all are stronger than I would be, because they make me want to say stuff too, but I can't. Well, thank you. This is awesome.
Thank you.
Of course. That is a wrap for today's episode. I want to extend a massive thank you to the phenomenal Dakota who joined us today. Your stories are the heart and soul of our podcast, and your greatness truly shines through with every word. I also want to express my gratitude to the Everett Auto Group for continuing to promote the See Her Greatness campaign. With locations in Benton, Bryant, and Rogers, they're not just in the business of selling cars, they're champions of celebrating female excellence in sports. To my listeners, I can't thank you enough for tuning in and being a part of this empowering journey. Remember, you can catch up on all of our episodes and stay connected with the latest from the See Her Greatness campaign by following us along on social media. Until next time, keep believing in your greatness, keep striving for your dreams, and keep celebrating the incredible achievement of women in sports. This is Sydney Lemmerhurt signing off.